Imagine you're a company, a German company, and you have your headquarters in Germany, and you acquire a new company, and this huge company, you want to have a cool strategy to go on with your combined new company. And you have that strategy, and you want to get the strategy around the world with a training. And you want not only have the strategy and you want to have your content, you also want to have it backed up by the values you have for this new combined company. And you want to do that worldwide. What I did is, together with a German company, I did exactly that. They acquired a business, we looked at the strategy they had, and I helped them to develop a training that was rolled out all over the place with their values, with their content, combined to their strategy. And what I like to do now for the next about 20 minutes is to show you a 5-step process how you can do that. And step number 1 is the training needs analysis. Training needs analysis, very often, we train and know that. Companies come, HR, personal development, they say, train those people. And we have no clue what to do because we don't know about the target group, we don't know about the content, so we have an idea, but we don't know. What I do over here is to say, number 1, I need a cool team. I need a team where I have HR, I have the personal development, I have maybe future trainers, I have people who know the content, and future participants. So that I can ask them is, what do you exactly need? What should be part of the training so that you can actually do it? This is number 1, have the right team to do a training needs analysis. Number 2, you need to have people who know more about the content. So what do the people in the training need to do afterwards? What do they need to know? What do they need to learn in the training so they can actually perform? Number 2 is, what do they need to understand? What is different to before? And number 3 is, what shall they be able to do after the training? And it's always after the training, because I can only design material if I know what has to be done after the training, when people are out of my room, back into the right environment. So the training needs analysis is the basic tool where all the development of training material bases on. It's like a house. You need to first have the basement, and you build it on that. And this is the training needs analysis, and it's important to give it time. You need time to develop it. If you have a worldwide rollout, don't assume it's done in 2 hours. You need more time than that. If you have that basis, this training needs analysis, step number 2 comes in. In step number 2, we look, number 1, at the content, the input. What do we need? What do we need to teach? And what I love to do is I love to ask people in who have the knowledge in the company. Because people have the knowledge usually. They know what the business is all about. So I invite those people, and in this step it's most important to facilitate those people who have the knowledge. So you combine, you structure, you collect. You might say, okay, we need more input on that place, or you say, okay, let's get rid of some of the input. But at the end of this first step is, you know about the content. What is going to be taught in the training so that people can perform afterwards? And during that collection process of input, my design process starts. And I'm a very creative person. There's some people around here who know that. So it's like my creativity that starts working while we create the input. And there's so many different solutions how you can do that. It could be that if you need a training on Train the Trainer seminar, or you do presentation skills, you could ask for improv theater and make people really do it and work on it and have fun with it. If you do something on Or actually, you could use a simulation. You can, parallel to the training you provide, you do a simulation. So every exercise you do is based on that simulation and people can learn from there. You could also make them go to a factory. It could be your own factory, but sometimes it's really creative to send them to another factory, to something completely different they've never thought about, and say, what can you learn from that factory based on the topic we provide over here. So this design process is quite creative, and it happens. It happens somewhere in my brain while I design that material. And the most important thing is to really have the red thread through the training. So every participant who joins, he knows exactly, this is why I'm here, and this is what I'm going to learn, and this is how to use it. And one important step in the design process is always to think about how can we make sure in the room they can use it after that. So help them to think about the day after or the life after the training. So to really make sure that they are able to make a difference. And that's the importance of doing training. At the end of the design process, we have two products. Number one, we have the content. So we know exactly what we're going to train, and it could be PowerPoint slides, it could be a book, it could be a workbook, whatever it is, but it's kind of a content base. And on the other side, we have a document, and it's a trainer manual. And the trainer manual should be well written. So when I hand it over to you, and you are a bit of a trainer, you read through it and you have an idea on how to teach it. And these are the two main outcomes: content, trainer manual. And with that outcome, we go to the next step, which is a pilot. So we take a magnifier, and with that magnifier, we look at what we designed. In that training over here, I have mainly two target groups. I have number one, the real end customers of the training, and I have people who will internally train the material. And it's not HR people, it's not the personal development people. It's the experts who know about the content, and can give me feedback. Because those internal experts, they know how to do it, but they don't know how to teach. So they give me feedback on, do we understand the content? Is it clear enough? And could I teach it as an internal trainer? On the other side, I have the real participants, and they tell me, is that exactly what we need? And the main output of that step is just feedback, so I can finalize the material, the presentation, content material, and the trainer manual. Because sometimes I'm too creative, and not every trainer could teach the material, so I need to refine and say, what do they still need to make it possible? After the pilot, we go into a train-the-trainer seminar. Over there, they learn basically typical trainer skills, like something about adult learning. How do adults learn best? They learn something about presentation skills, visualization, how to reduce content, to really reduce it to the little bit people need, to be able to do an exercise, to be able to transfer. So this is more or less the trainer content. And on the other side, they have to teach. So they have to teach at least 2 modules out of that training we developed before. And after each bit of teaching, they will get feedback. So they will get feedback on how did they do, what else can they do to make it either more lively, more interesting, how can they actually say, this is the exercise, this is what needs to be done. And with all that feedback, they grow. And I love train-the-trainer seminars because people grow during that seminar, and they grow brilliantly. Because if you do it on day 1 and you have to teach, and you need to teach another thing 2 or 3 days later, you look not only what you could improve, but you gave feedback to all the other trainers in the room, and you learn with every bit you give feedback, and you think about, oh, am I doing the same? Maybe I should change that. So this is where they really learn. And what's the outcome of that step number 4 is safety. It's the safety for the trainers to say, now I can go out and do it. The last step in the process is quality management or quality assurance, however you want to call it. And it's about how can we make sure people teach the same thing, people use it, and how can we get feedback into that process? Because we want to have a robust training. We want to have a training which is not only taught one time, but we want to do it more often than that. So one bit of quality management, and we did it for the German company, is that we said each young teacher who is doing it for the first time, they are accompanied by a lead or master trainer. So the teacher can focus on the 2 modules he or she is doing, whereas the master trainer takes care of the rest, because trainers know there's a lot to do in a room than teaching. We need to take care of lunch and breaks and fresh air and fruits, and this is what I do as a master trainer, whereas the young trainers can just teach. And I'm kind of an airbag. I'm in the back and say yes or say no, because sometimes they don't know. So I help them to overcome that difficulty of teaching the first time. Another thing you can do in quality management is that you can say, maybe young teachers need some coaching. So you coach them before they go into their module, and you coach them after that. So they come back and say, oh, there has been a problem. I didn't know how to react. It didn't really work out nicely. Can you tell me what I should do the next time? So this is kind of quality assurance. Another thing we did in that company is we asked for feedback, not right after the training, but we asked them 3 days later. So they started to reflect, is that useful, what I just learned? Or what other feedback would I give back to the company? And we also asked them, and that was most interesting, half a year later. And we said, this is what we taught. What of this did you use? Which module was most interesting? What didn't you use at all? Where would you need more input? So with that feedback half a year later, after they used the whole thing, that was helpful to really get it into a feedback loop. So what we did is every half a year we had a meeting and we reflected on the whole training, and we said, what did the participants give us as an answer, what is missing? What do the internal trainers know more now that we need to reflect? Did the strategy maybe change? Or how about, are we doing well with the values we wanted actually to give away with the training? And so every half a year we had those trainers meeting. We started to integrate changes into the training. But as the training was quite robust, the changes were basically minor. And it was easy to give it to the internal trainers because we just told them, no, here's a little bit, change that, and then go with it. And that was a very nice process as we did in the German company. Now, coming back to my German company and the rollout worldwide, what are the benefits? So the employees who are trained, they get interactive, lively training which they actually can use. And as it's combined to strategy, they know exactly why they are sitting in my training. Quite often people say, I don't know why I'm here, or my manager sent me. I don't have that problem because people always know where it comes from. The internal trainers have the benefit, they get trainer skills, and what I've seen is that trainer skills very often are very useful if you go to a leadership or management position, because what you learn is how to visualize, how to explain difficult content in an easy way. You learn how to facilitate a meeting, how to work with interesting behaviors, if we are polite. So it's all these things people learn, and they can use it as a trainer, they can also use it in a management position. And what they also learn is they learn to see what happens in the company. If you know you need to teach again, your eyes are open, you are focused on the environment, to really look at that. And they will see if an employee does something different than as planned in the training. They see when the strategy changes, and they are faster than external trainers are. So that's why I really like to use internal trainers, because they are really living the company. And that's why it's so helpful to use them. Now the company itself benefits because they build up knowledge by their internal trainers. An internal trainer who teaches again, he will always be there, whereas an external trainer, he leaves. Who can I call? The external? Rarely. But I can call the internal trainer, so it's a build-up of knowledge management. And the company also won kind of, they won a lot of money. That would be cool, yeah. But there was a lot of money they didn't have to spend. So after a year, and that was the cost of development and the cost of training the internal trainers and having the meetings to get the content. But after a year, we reached break even. And we taught the training and some more years. But what do you think, if you could just think about the follow-up 4 years, how much money could the company save by doing it with their intern trainers? Could it be 0 to 250,000 euro? 250 to 500,000 euro? Or do you think it's more than 500,000? What do you think? Not knowing? Actually, what they saved is 620,000 euros in 4 years, not using external trainers. And the beauty is, the knowledge is in the company, and you don't have a problem with languages. If you just look at the map, you can imagine it's about at least 20, 30 languages. That was not a problem, because either they did it in English or they had the people who could do it in the native language. Quite often they kept the slides in English, but they taught in Chinese, for example, or they taught in Portuñol, which is the mixed language of Portuguese and Spanish in South America. So it's easy to get the message across with that approach, and this is the 5-step approach. There's another thing I really like about the process is that it builds up a learning community. And what I learned with that company is they started to learn from each other. They learned about the beauty of having good training. And coming back to my slogan, design, train, mastery. If you look at my 5 steps, step number 1 is training needs analysis and design material. Step number 1, design. The pilot and the train the trainer seminar is in step number 2. And the mastery, so keep the quality high and building a learning community, is step number 3. Thanks very much.